here is the layout, and how good is it? I really hope that all of these readings have got major arcanas on either side. That would be really handy. So in the middle is the Eight of Pentacles, and this card represents some of their common ground, some of the personality traits that both the Hermit and the Emperor have, and they include dedication, commitment to goals, focus, and ongoing improvement. So ongoing skill improvement as well as knowledge and understanding, and they're both very disciplined. They have a bit more in common than just that though. They're self-sufficient. They have a lot of wisdom and experience. They are enigmatic, so there's a bit of a mystery about them, in particular the Hermit. They're both autonomous, so they've got a lot of control over their lives and the decision making. They choose which path to take, and they're both leaders. However, the Emperor, he's a leader, he's comfortable with that. It sits well with him and it defines him. The Hermit is a different sort of leader. Leadership isn't something that the Hermit seeks out, but he is an incidental leader. He prefers solitude, but people are drawn to him. I sort of explain it a bit like Forrest Gump. You know, I think that that bit when he starts running and people just join him. He didn't ask for them to come along, he didn't encourage it, but they did nonetheless. Also, the Hermit lights the way for others with his lamp, and I will most likely use that in every reading with the Hermit because it is such an adorable description. There are differences between the two, however. So these are illustrations from other tarot decks. On the left hand side are two images of the Hermit, and on the right there are two of the Emperor. And it's in these differences between the two where we will be able to analyse what sort of shadow is being cast here. It can work either way. It can be the Emperor as the dominant personality, the Hermit as the shadow, or the Hermit as the dominant, Emperor as the shadow. But I am going to explore the Emperor as the predominant character with the traits of the Hermit as his shadow self. So as depicted pretty well in those two images of the Emperor has a tough exterior, he can be intimidating, he demands respect and authority, and he thrives on the recognition that he gets from this. Status is very important to him. He enjoys directing others, and he is fairly inflexible. He's dominant and quite controlling. He's the father figure. In the story of the Fool's Journey, the story that is depicted throughout the major arcana, the Emperor represents the father. The Hermit, in comparison, he is all about seclusion and solitude. He's on a spiritual journey and he's focused on self-development and the pursuit of self-awareness. His wisdom comes from within and reflecting on his life, his journey, and what he needs to learn. The outside world doesn't really interest him, certainly doesn't faze him, and he does not use his leadership or his power to dominate others in any way. They're both powerful figures, but they use it in different ways. I'm going to refer to this quote. With great power comes great responsibility. It's pretty handy because that is true for the Emperor, but not so much the Hermit, and that's where the problem lies. And that is why there is this shadow self element to the Emperor's experience of power and authority. Think of the Emperor as maybe a sports star or a politician. They're held to account for their behaviour. And please keep in mind we're exploring the duality of personalities here. So for the sake of the study, I'm going to go forward with how the Emperor might have come to develop this shadow side. So he resents the accountability that he is held to. He envies people like the Hermit, the freedom they have. They're not under scrutiny. He's resentful as well because he feels that this puts him at a disadvantage. The Emperor's got so many external duties and expectations. He has people looking up to him. He needs to be a role model. People are asking for advice or needing guidance. And while he does enjoy it, he does sometimes find it taxing and a bit of a heavy burden. He looks at people like the Hermit who are able to focus on themselves and follow their own path without this sort of restriction. Part of him may even not be content with his current lifestyle. He may even want to take a softer approach, or he may even want to withdraw from these duties. Now, with that in mind, we'll have a look at how this might have an effect on how he projects these feelings. So here we go. According to Psychology Today Australia, it's defined by the displacing of your feelings onto other people, attributing your own unacceptable urges to another. I'm pretty sure we're all familiar with that, on the receiving end at least. We tend to ignore our own projection. Well, that's not exactly true. Most people just are simply not aware of it, their own projection onto others. Anyhow, back to the Emperor and the Hermit. The projection here would be based on the Emperor's envy of the Hermit's freedom. The Hermit is still a leader, still powerful, still full of wisdom, and still magnetic. All of the positive attributes, he gets all the glory without the restrictions that are inherent in the Emperor's experience of leadership. The Emperor would cope with this by criticizing these qualities in others. When he comes across someone who has the liberties of the Hermit, he would tear them down. And it could very well be a trigger response and completely disproportionate to how he may respond to other personality traits when he comes across them in others.